friends, welcome to another episode of the Cozy Cottage Crochet Podcast. My name is Hannah and this is a podcast all about crochet, a little bit of knitting, sometimes sewing, and generally living the yarniest life possible in St. Petersburg, Florida, where I live. It is Wednesday, July 3rd. Yes, it must be July 3rd because tomorrow is July 4th. And Nova will be going to see her first ever fireworks, which is very exciting. If I seem a little subdued and not my normal self today, that is because I'm not. And if you watched the last little video that I posted on the channel, you'll know why. I will talk about that at the end. I don't know how long I have, so I want to get the yarn part filmed first because Noah is sleeping currently. I held him for 45 minutes and just worked over his head on my phone. And then I successfully transferred him to the crib. So hopefully, fingers crossed, he'll sleep for another half an hour and we will be able to talk about yarn. If you are looking for me anywhere on the interweb, you can find me as the Cozy Cottage Crochet on Instagram, on Facebook. I am the Cozy Cottage on Ravelry, and anything related to this podcast, please just shoot me an email. My email is thecozycottagecrochet@gmail.com. Where to even begin? What am I wearing? I am wearing my hot pink cardigan of dreams. This is the Mix and Match cardigan, which is a knit pattern by Mina Phillips of the Knitting Expat. I wanted to make this for ages, and this yarn was hand dyed for me by my very dear friend Maria. Hi, Maria. And I knit the entire cardigan in this fabulous hot pink yarn. And it finally has buttons as of a couple episodes ago, and it's actually super duper hot outside, but I was a little chilly because there was a baby sleeping on me and he is a furnace. And so when I came out of his room, I was like, okay, I need a sweater. Also, I need some positivity in my life. So hot pink cardigan it is. This is what it looks like. I'll stand back here. It's got a high-low hem. And it has buttons, and it has a shawl collar, and I did just the plain stockinette version. She has a version in the pattern where you can do texture on the sweater as well. And then I actually made a modification and made the shawl collar a lot more short rows because I just wanted more of a shawl collar than in the pattern. And y'all know I do that. I could never just leave a pattern alone. I'm always like, I'm going to change this and that and do my own thing. I'm drinking a ginger ale today, because your girl needs some sugar, and we are just going to talk about yarn. Once I piled it up, I was like, actually, I have touched a fair amount of projects. There has not been a ton of progress on any of them, but I'm going to show them all to you. The first thing is finished, and this is for the Lisa Frank Mal, the Lisa Frank make-along that goes until the end of, I'm pretty sure I said the end of July last episode. Is that what I said? I need to go check my own Ravelry page. You have some time to enter, is what I'm saying. You can enter in on Ravelry. You can tag me on Instagram. This is the Just Feel Better shawl that I made. It is a pattern by Kalisha Ryan of the Quirky Monday Craftcast. You saw it last time, but this time it is finished. I still have to take a photo, but I have weaved in the ends. I have washed it. I decided not to actually stretch it and block it because it is so big already, but I did do a little bit on this top border right here because it was kind of curling. So I got it, after it was washed, I kind of gave it a good yank and just stretched it out so that it would lay more flat instead of being like this. And now it's like perfect. It is a huge asymmetrical shawl. This is what it looks like. When it's on, it's basically like wearing a blanket. It is so fabulous, and it is going to live as soon as I take some photos, which will happen tomorrow probably, or Friday. Ooh, I dropped it. It's going to live with a lovely viewer of this podcast named Dolores, and I'm just very excited that it's going to go be loved by someone because it's so bright and cheery and happy and delightful, and I know that I would probably wear this once a year. And so I really wanted it to just go live with someone who would appreciate it. And it's my entry for my own make-along. And I just love it. I made it out of Big Twist Rave, which is 100% acrylic yarn. It is the colorway Super Beach, and you get how much yarn? 312 yards for 150 grams. I used 3 full balls of this, and I have this little bitty nug left. I bet this is like, it's pretty loosely fluffed, so maybe 5 or 10 grams, maybe. Definitely not enough to do anything with. So yes, it is finished, finished, finished. It's gorgeous. I highly recommend the pattern. I'm very, very happy with it. And I'm very happy that it's gonna go live with a lovely person who will appreciate it. And I'm just gonna fold it up because it's all nice and clean and fresh. I need to take some photos and then I will mail that off to you by next week, I promise. So that's a finished object. And that's the only finished object I have. I put one solitary square, I'm pretty sure. Now that I pull this out, I'm like, did I? I put 2 squares. Look at me. I put 2 squares on my crochet memories blanket. This one and this one. I always put a stitch marker in the squares that I have added since the last time I podcasted, so it will be easy to tell. So it barely grew, but I've almost gotten a whole nother row on it. And I'm just literally going around in a square. Like I'm going like top, side, and I just keep going and going and going. So it's like baby blanket sized right now. I keep getting up because I'm too close to the camera, clearly. I can't even get the whole thing in the screen. Yeah, it's baby blanket sized right now. So it obviously needs to be much bigger. This is my own pattern. It is a corner to corner crochet, join as you go, scrap memory blanket. And you can join anywhere you want, which is fabulous. I really enjoy working on this. I have had very little crochet time recently. So I have not been home at night, or if I have been home at night, the baby has needed me and I have not been crocheting at all. So there is a free tutorial for this. It's the only tutorial I've made. If you go to my YouTube channel and scroll down to the playlists, there's a playlist called tutorials and there's one for this. So you can follow that. Or if you would like a written pattern with photos and everything, you can get it on my Ravelry. It's only $1. And I just love it. These squares take about, I want to say like 6 to 7 grams of yarn. It depends on your gauge, it depends on the yarn. Some of my squares I've noticed take like 8 grams of yarn. And then when I'm stressed out, they take less because I'm crocheting tighter. So I still have tons of these little minis in my bag to use up. I've got like 20 or something of those still to use. So I'm just plugging away at it. It's a lovely little project to have on the go for when you just need a minute to crochet and be happy. Okay, I have started 2 new projects. I'm going to talk about the new projects and then I will finish with the knitting because the knitting is just socks, as it almost always is. So the first new project I have started is the one that I was talking about in the last podcast episode, the crossbody bag crochet version from the Hooks and Needles subscription box that they sent me. And it's supposed to look like so, like this. It's very cute. It is called, and it's gonna have a zipper in it. I'm gonna line it. You don't line it in the actual, there's not like lining instructions in the pattern, but I'm just extra. It's called the Urban Crossbody Bag. And so what you do is you make all these little squares. I have made a bunch of these squares, and of course I'm going to mess with the pattern because I can never leave well enough alone. But I used the actual yarn that they sent me. I have used almost 2 full balls of it. It's the Hooks and Needles yarn Woodland Whisper, 97% merino, 3% nylon. It is a tweed yarn, and it is a worsted weight yarn, and you get 92 yards for 50 grams. Which it looks like this. It's so pretty. This is my entry into the Summer of Romance Mal, which is hosted by Claudia of the Crochet Luna podcast and Clarisabeth of the CrochetCakes podcast. And their theme this year is enemies to lovers. And so I think this looks like space. This yarn. Like blue background with like stars almost. So obviously I picked Star Wars. And my couple is Han and Leia. Obviously. So I have made so many squares. And you may think that's too many squares. You're right, I'm messing with the pattern a little bit. But I am really enjoying this, and I actually really like this square. It's like puffs in the crochet, little puffs in the middle. There we go, crochet puffs, and then you kind of do another circle and then you square it off. And I really like this. When I'm done with this, I think I'm going to use up the rest of the pink and purple yarn that I have left over from Nova's Crochet Daisy cardigan and make a little bag of squares for her because she would love them, I think. So if you would like a Hooks and Needles subscription box, you can get one in a discount. You can get 20% off your first box if you use the code. And I will put the code in the description box below and the link. So use that specific link and use that code. You can sign up just for a month. You can sign up for indefinitely. It's up to you. It's not a big deal at all if you only want to buy one box and test it out. But I have really been enjoying. I have made, this is the second pattern I've made. So the first one was a little knit purse that I showed last time for Nova. And then this pattern I am making. And it's just really fun to have something small to work on that like gives you some instant gratification. It's really fun to get a surprise of yarn. And I really have enjoyed crocheting with this yarn a lot. It is super, super soft. I love the color. I love the tweediness of it, and I'm just really happy with it all around. And as soon as I'm done with this bag, I'm going to make the last pattern in this little booklet, which is the boho makeup pouch. And it looks like this. And I just think that is so cool. So yeah, I'm going to make that with the yarn that came in the knit box because I should have enough to make that. So you may be like, a crossbody bag should only take 4 squares. Why do you have so many squares? My gauge has been really tight because I have been a bit stressed. So when I laid this out, I was like, this is gonna be the smallest crossbody bag in the history of crossbody bags. Like, so you kind of go like this. This is what it would look like. I can get all these ends out of here. Like this. So that's really small. This is a Nova-sized crossbody bag, but it's not for her. It's for me. So what I decided to do, because I was able to get 4 squares out of 1 ball of yarn, is I'm actually making enough to add another layer on the top. Ooh, this is not working very well because of course they're not seamed together. So it's gonna be like this. Ooh, there we go. It's going to be like that big when it's all seamed together. I don't know. Once I seam it together, I will decide if I want to make it a crossbody strap or if I just want to make it like have a regular strap up top. So I needed an extra 6 squares. And I believe I only have 2 left to make because you need 4 for the original. And then I need 3. Yeah, I need to make 2 more of these. And this has been a really good project to have on the go because it is, I can just do a square. There will be a lot of ends to weave in. There will be some seaming, which is not my favorite, but it's okay. It's been a really, really delightful project to have on the go. I'm just really happy with this. They're super soft. I can't stop smooshing them. I think that this little square pattern would make a perfect like dish scrubby. They're just like the perfect size. Not in this yarn, obviously, because it's merino. But I really enjoyed it. I'm really happy. I have everything in here. The yarn is in here. The zipper that they sent is in here. They, of course, send a crochet hook as well. They have needles. They have their stitch markers. So everything you need is in there. And of course you can make it any way you want, but I have enough yarn to make it a bigger bag, so that's what I'm doing. I was hoping to have this as a finished object this week, but it didn't happen. So I'll be talking about it next week. But yeah, if you would like to try the Hooks and Needles subscription box, you can get 20% off of a box and just try it. They have a crochet box, they have a knitting box, or you can get both of them and just have some project options that maybe wouldn't normally be on your radar. I would never have gone looking to make a crossbody bag. Like, never would I have looked to make that. But I love how it looks, and it's adorable, and it's making me really happy. So I'm really glad that I'm making it. So I love it. Highly recommend. The other new project that I started is a Tunisian project. And this took some serious stash diving. I want to say it took me like an hour to pick out the colors. Just dumped everything on the floor. As you do, I always do that. It would not be a crochet podcast from me without dumping everything on the floor. This is I can find the beginning of the pattern. I printed it, so I was trying to do it on my phone, and I'm just terrible at that. It is called the Westmont Shawl. It is a pattern by Toni Lipsy, who is TL Yarn Crafts. So she did a solid version of this shawl originally, and then Sorella Yarn had a like flower pre-order collection, yarn dyed based on flowers recently, and so they did like a collaboration where she did a color blocked version, which of course you can't really see because it's black and white. But I am making the color block version, and I did not buy any yarn for this. I went into my stash, and I have not made a ton of progress. Everything is attached in here, and there's an ink pen just hanging out. That's great. It is living in this plaid bag that I got from Cottontail Farm. This is the bag that I purchased when I went to Rhinebeck 2 years ago. I adore this bag. And I've tried to put several projects in this bag, and then just like my making energy last year was like non-existent. So I really didn't have anything on the go in this bag, but it's the perfect size for this project. So you need 5 colors. You need a main color and smaller amounts of 4 more colors. So the main color that I am using is Maelstrom Fiber Arts in the colorway Velvet Boudoir. This is the color. Oh my gosh, I love this yarn. It is 75% merino, 25% nylon. It's fingering weight, 415 yards for 100 grams. This was a gift from a lovely viewer of this podcast quite a while ago named Leslie. And there were actually 4 skeins of this, and I had set them aside to make some kind of sweater or top. And that is always the problem I have when I have multiple skeins of something. I'm like, I have to make a sweater out of it, or a t-shirt out of it, or something. I can't possibly put it into a shawl, because they have to go together into a top. But I haven't been making a ton of sweaters at the moment. I need kind of smaller projects, and I really want to make a shawl. Also, when I pulled this yarn out, I realized there were 2 skeins that were this color. These are very similar. And there were 2 skeins that were significantly darker. If I put them into a top, that would have worked out totally fine. You just alternate skeins. So it would have just made like a slightly darker version of the top all along. But I was like, because these are the same, and because those 2 are the same, I can just split them up and use these 2 in this shawl, and I'll use those 2 in a different shawl or a different project. So this yarn is so nice. Like, it is soft and plump and squishy, and every stitch I have made with this, I have loved. The rest of the yarn I am using, I pulled from Stash. All of this yarn has been in previous projects that I have worked on, except for this. This one, I can't remember if I made a pair of socks or this was part of a shawl. But I've already done the first stripe in this color. This will be the second stripe. I don't know what kind of yarn this is. It's all like some kind of 75-25 blend. But this was used in a shawl of some kind. This is a 75-25 mini that came out of an advent calendar from last year. This will be colored, so color number 1, color number 2, color number 3, definitely that was part of a shawl. Actually, this was part, I know what this is. This was part of my Tunisian Zen cowl, which is a pattern that I designed. And this yarn came from Life in the Long Grass Studio, and I got this yarn in 2018 when we went to the UK. So that's memory yarn for me. This, I wish I could remember what I made with this, but I don't. This yarn is Attic Spin Dye yarn, and it's also the other Tunisian pattern I designed. Now I can't think of the name of the other Tunisian pattern I designed. Or maybe it wasn't Tunisian. No, it definitely was. They used the Tunisian full stitch. So I have 2 Tunisian crochet patterns. One is the Tunisian Zen cowl, and one is the other Tunisian pattern. My brain is not working today, but this is an Attic Spin Dye yarn, and they sent me yarn support to make that pattern, and I just love it. And I think that these go together so well, and this will be such a lovely pop of color on the bottom for the last stripe. And so I have, after I put all of these into this shawl, I will be also putting them into my Crochet Memories blanket. So I have them just in a baggie because I don't want them to get all tangled up, as I am known to do. So it's not a ton of progress, and there's a ton of ends, but this is what we have so far. Oh, I love it. You may be like, it's not very much. You're right, but I did do it twice. I got through all of this, the first and the second section, and I was like, what is wrong? Like, I don't understand. Something was wrong. It was looking like this. It's like, why? Well, why? Because I was doing the increases incorrectly. I cannot read, apparently. And honestly, when I was starting the pattern, I was like, I could feel the part of my brain that reads patterns being like, oh, what's happening? Like trying to get into gear and like grinding and rust and like covered in dust, like when you turn your heat on for the first time in the year and it smells really bad. I could feel my brain being like, what are you doing? So I got all the way through and I looked at it and I was like, there's no way that's correct. So I ripped it out and it was not correct. I was missing doing increases. So I restarted it and it looks perfect now. So it has these panels of Tunisian simple stitch and then this mesh pattern, which you can't really see from far away because it's not blocked. But once this is blocked and opened up, it's going to be like that, which is incredible. So I just barely started section number 3. So it's going to have alternating purple, pink, purple, and the other colors. And of course, every row is getting 4 stitches longer. So it's going to take me quite a while. The reason there are so many ends is because I had to rip it out, and because I was doing the increases incorrectly, I ran out of yarn in both the purple and the pink section and had to join. On the purple section, I think I had 2 rows that I needed extra yarn for, and on the pink section, I think 2 or 3 rows as well. So I have a little sheepy stitch marker. It's not focusing. So cute. And then I have this, which is my project keeper. It's a heart that says be mine, and really it's just on there because it's pink. And it needs to be pink. Oh, there's another one marking my center stitches. This is a sassy llama. Llama? Alpaca? I don't know. I can never keep them straight. It's sassy though. So very, very cute. Tony is well known for her Tunisian crochet patterns, and they are very beautiful. The only thing I will say, and I have this complaint quite frequently about pattern designers, is they just like give me a schematic and give me some stitch counts. You don't even have to, I generally include stitch counts for like every row. You don't have to do that, but like give me some stitch counts, please. I would have figured out so much sooner that I was doing the increases incorrectly if there had been stitch counts in the pattern. So like when you set up that first purple section, it has a stitch count of 20 stitches at the end of row 4, which I got correct. There's no more stitch counts. It's just like repeat until so many rows and then move on to section 2. In section 2, there are no stitch counts. In section 3, there are no stitch counts. And literally, if it had just been at the beginning of the purple, or the beginning of the first section, I'm sorry, let me start over. At the end of the first section, before you begin the next section, this is how many stitch counts. This is how many stitches you need. I would have immediately known that I was wrong, and I would have been able to fix it instead of keeping going. Like, just give me like one number. Like at the end, even at the end when it's like repeat mesh rows with color B, repeat solid rows with color A, repeat mesh rows with color C. Like at the end of each section, give me a stitch count so I can see if I'm on track. Also, if there were a schematic, and I know this is a triangle shawl, so do you really need a schematic? Yes! Yes, you do. It is a hill I will die on. Patterns should have a schematic, and it should have, she does have the dimensions of how the shawl will be, but there is no schematic and there is no photo of the pattern, the piece laid flat. So this one with Sorella holding the shawl is as close to a flat look as you can get. And I just wish people, all pattern designers, if you are a pattern designer, listen to me, okay? Take a picture of your item flat and put it in your pattern. Give us a schematic and give us stitch counts, because it will make it so much easier on the people who are making your patterns. That's my soapbox. Especially if you are making garments. If you have garments of any kind that you design, schematics. You must have a schematic. It is not hard to make a schematic. It is your responsibility to make a schematic. I have wanted to make one of TL Yarn Craft's garment patterns for quite a long time, and I can't think of the name of it right now, but it's made in Aran weight yarn, and it is just stunning. But I know I won't wear it if it's an Aran weight yarn. So I was gonna make it in fingering or like sport weight yarn, and just, it's a fairly simple construction. So I was like, oh, I can just do some math, figure out how many repeats I need in fingering weight yarn. It'll be no problem, but there's no schematic and there's not like a list of measurements in the pattern. So I'd have to literally physically go into the pattern, find the measurement that I'm looking for, and make my own schematic out of the pattern. And that just seems like too much work. So I haven't done it, but someday I will, because it's beautiful and it deserves to be made in fingering weight yarn. Anyways, I adore this. It is a beautiful pattern. It's the Westmont Shawl by TL Yarn Crafts. And I am going to be delighted with this when it is finished. It is seriously making me happy, making my crochet energy sparkle. And I am using my favorite Tunisian hooks of all time. This is the Denise interchangeable Tunisian crochet hooks. I love them. They're the only ones I ever want to use. So that's my purple and pink project, living in my pink plaid bag, which I adore. And the last two projects I've been working on have been my knit socks. I had one goal last time, and it was to get past the heel on these socks that get carried around with me in my mom bag. And I almost did not meet this goal, but I sat down last night and actually stayed up too late and finished the heel. So this is where I was last time, literally like a centimeter away from starting the heel. I have finished the heel and done just one round. I'm not even like completed with one round. So I finished the heel. So now I have a whole foot to do. This is a long dog yarn from my lovely friend Amanda. It is sparkly. Hopefully you can see how sparkly it is. It is the colorway Traditions, I believe, and it's a sock set. So this is the little nug. If you knit socks, does anyone have any idea how many grams of yarn it takes to make a heel in an average sock or a toe? If you do, can you comment below and tell me? Because I have just this much, and I'm wondering if I split it in half, would it be enough to do 2 more heels or no? I have another pair of socks I want to start after these, and I just don't know. This is the one that I had finished previously. Oh, it's stuck. It's just so pretty. I'm really excited to have these. They should be finished very soon. But I had one goal in the last 2 weeks and it almost didn't happen. But they are just stunningly beautiful. I love the sparkle. They're very like subtly Christmas, and they're just perfect. The yarn is soft. Makes me happy. So yes, we got the heel done. Dun, da, da. Now I would like to get the foot done my next time. Will that happen? It entirely depends on a lot of things, but mostly the baby. So the last pair of socks that I have been working on are almost done. I am maybe a half an inch away from the toe. And I seriously debated staying up last night and like just finishing it, but it was already 9:30 and I am so tired. So I went to bed. I didn't do it. I made a wise adult decision. This is the last one that I finished. You saw this last time. This is yarn. Where is the tag? It's missing? It's not missing. It's just buried. It is yarn from Wisdom Yarns in the Saki Silk. It is 55% merino, 25% nylon, 20% silk. And it is the colorway 308. And I'm calling this something volcano online. I saw that. So I'm calling these my silk volcano socks. I talked at length last time about how obsessed I am with these socks. They're just perfect. I altered my sock recipe that I've been making for a while slightly because I used to only make 15 rounds of cuff, but now I think that I like just a slightly higher cuff. So I've been doing 15 rounds of ribbing and 20 rounds of stockinette before I start the heel. This is a Fish Lips Kiss heel. And I used to only do 9 stitches of the Fish Lips Kiss heel, but now I'm doing the full 10 to just give it a little extra room right here. And then I do straight stockinette for the foot and a rounded toe. There has been a fair amount of progress on this one. The last time you saw this, I was not even done with the heel. So I finished the heel. I've worked all the way down the foot. I have maybe a centimeter left to go, and then I have to do the heel. So we're getting close. I am so, so happy with these socks. Like, every time I work on them, I'm just happy. And I don't know, makes me delighted. I already have yarn caked up for the next pair of socks that will be in this bag. It's already living in here because I had grand plans, you know. It is West Yorkshire Spinners Signature Sparkle 4-ply. This is also a Christmas sock yarn, and it is sparkly. It is the colorway Vintage Tinsel. I am almost positive this is a self-striping yarn. So I'm very excited about this. This was also sent to me by my lovely friend Amanda, and she either made socks with this or made something else because it was like a partial skein, but there's like 55 grams of this, which is enough for me to make a pair of shorty socks for myself in this yarn. It's definitely enough. But I was thinking about adding a contrast heel in that sock yarn from the other pair of socks into this because I think it would match. I don't really have anything that would match like a mini or anything like that that would go with this because this is sparkly, so I feel like the heels should be sparkly also. So if I don't have enough, that's totally fine. I may just make part of the cuff sparkly, and they won't be twins. Typically in my self-striping socks, I like to make them match exactly. But I'm not quite sure I have enough yarn to make them match exactly and wind off any of it, so they'll just be sisters, not twins. But that is the next pair of socks that will be on the needles after these ones are finished. And then in my other bag, I didn't bring the yarn over here, but I have a sock set from Mitchell's Creations, and it's just so pretty. I will probably be able to show that to you next time. I'm gonna make a pair of socks for my mom because it's been a while since my mom has had a pair of socks made for her, and she is a very, very knit-worthy person. So I will be making her a pair of socks. I have a little bit of Happy Mail to show you, but I also want to show you a picture that Nova made. I'm going to be keeping this forever. She likes to make things and then destroy her art. She likes to rip it up into pieces and throw it away or scribble on top of it until it's unrecognizable. She made this and I rescued it immediately. I love it so much, especially because I was like, who is that? What is it? And she was like, this is my dad. And I was like, what? She goes, my dad is a potato. I was like, oh, a potato? And she's like, yes, potato dad. He is a sad potato. And then she proceeded to do a self-portrait of herself as a smaller potato with the same mouth. So I'm going to put her name on the back and the date of when she made this because I'm just going to keep this forever. It's one of my favorite things she ever has made in her entire life. And I wanted to share with you because it's adorable. Sad potato. Oh my gosh. So cute. This Happy Mail, I was not expecting. It appeared on my door last night. I had a good cry about it. I've been crying a lot, let's be honest. But I had a good cry. It's gonna be some rustling when I open it. This came from my lovely friend Emmy and Claudia of the Crochet Luna podcast, who has her own Etsy shop, and you know if you've been around for any length of time. Claudia makes buttons and pins and stitch markers and all kinds of things, bags. She just has a fabulous Etsy shop. And this just, she sent me a sock pin. It says I heart socks, which I adore. It has tea and taffy. And this, I believe, is a straw cover, like for this kind of cup, to keep creepy crawlies or children from slobbering in your cup. You can get all these pins in her shop too. This says one more row, crocheter. It's literally like tattoo vibes. And then this one is a little, I'm gonna take this one out because it's gonna have a glare probably. This is a little plastic enamel kind of a pin, and it's a bumblebee on a crochet hook. Oh my gosh, that's so special. I really, really love that. A lot of people, how do you make this? I want to know. There's also something that will be immediately going into my Tunisian crochet project bag. It's a pencil that says, I belong to a crocheter. Is it focusing? No. It says I belong to a crocheter on it. And it's just a beautiful, lovely pencil. It will be going in my pink bag. And then this is like a fob that says I belong to a crocheter. And it's like a beautiful, I suppose you could use this as a stitch marker, but I will be using this as a zipper pull. I have a bag that has a sweater project in it where the zipper pull broke off of it. It's just a tiny little zipper and it's so hard to open. And I love the bag. It says llamas on it. And so I will put this on there because it currently has a crochet sweater in it. So I really love that. And then there's a sock bag with the happiest print inside. It says Crochet Luna because she made it. And I saw that there were some of these bags in her Etsy shop just a few days ago. And I went and clicked on them. And I was like, oh, they're so cute. They're so pretty. And I just haven't been like all there the last couple of weeks. And I don't know why I didn't purchase it. I don't remember if it was like, oh, I don't have the budget for that right now, or it was like something happened with the kids and then I forgot, or what. But for whatever reason, I didn't buy it. And then it showed up on my house. And it's so pretty. And it's very happy and cheery. And it reminds me, like, I used to make, you know those fleece blankets that everyone was obsessed with for a long time? And you would take two huge pieces of like fleece and you would cut them in strips around the edges and then you'd tie them together. And so it would make a huge fleece blanket or a small one. I used to make those all the time and give them as gifts. And once I made one for myself when I was having a really hard time. And seriously, this was like almost 20 years ago now, and I still have this blanket. I called it my happy blanket because it was bright yellow on one side. And on the other side, it was pink and yellow and orange, very much like the Lisa Frank Just Feel Better shawl that I made, just like neon. And it's been through the wash about 100 times, probably more because it's 20 years old. And it's a little pilly and it's a little well-loved, and I still put it on my bed every winter. When one little thin blanket for Florida is not enough, I use an extra blanket and I put it on my bed every winter, and it's my happy blanket because it's so bright and cheery and it made me happy in a really tough time. And this made me think of that because I have been having a very tough time, and this just put such a smile on my face. It's just gorgeous. Like, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So I need to find a one skein project, maybe socks, maybe something else that's one skein, and put it in here. Ooh, you know what I need to do? I'm planning on making another Treasure Island shawl eventually. And so I need to go find the skein in my stash that will work for that. And that is what will be in here. So I really love it. And I really cried a fair amount about it. And I was not expecting that at all. So thank you, Emmy, and thank you, Claudia. And Amy has her own stuff going on in her life, and Claudia is like traveling around the world right now. Not around the world, but like to the home country with her kids to show them all that like she visited so many times as a kid. And I can't believe that they put this together for both of them. And I just am really grateful. Now, that is the end of the yarn content. And I hopefully have a few more minutes to talk to you before the baby wakes up. He's not really rolling around yet. I don't know how to say. I don't know where to begin. I'm tired. I'm very tired. It's Wednesday the 3rd. So since Tuesday last week, it's been a week and a day. Well, really, Tuesday to Monday is 7 days, right? So it's been 9 days since he has nursed. If you did not watch the last video on the channel about baby Noah, so he was very sick last week. Like refusing to eat, refusing to drink, wouldn't take any liquid. I was like giving him droppers of Pedialyte to keep him from getting dehydrated. We took him to the doctor. They were like, it's a virus. And he is mostly over it. He's just grouchy. Like he doesn't seem sick anymore, although he still is a little bit congested. He has a little bit of a runny nose. But he's just grouchy in general. His fuse is short. He just seems like, he has his moments where he's happy and playing, but he's not his normal self. And he's still sleeping mostly at night once he finally gets down. But he's been up at like 5. He was up at 5 this morning. He's been up at 5 a bunch of times. He also was, not last night. Last night he slept. But the night before I had to go to work. So I got him down. He went to sleep about 6:30. He woke up at 8 when I was gone and was up for 3 hours. So my husband was just pacing in circles with him for 2 hours. And then I got home and it took me another 45 minutes to get him to go to sleep. So he's still not himself and he still won't nurse. I've been working with a lactation consultant and she thinks there's hope. I don't know if there is or not, truthfully. I will try. I will keep trying for at least, I'll probably try for another 2 weeks. And then after that, I really don't know because I don't know if I can handle it. And I went into all of this in detail in the last video, and I don't know that I want to rehash it all right now because I'm just going to cry. But it's been very tough, not just emotionally for him to not want to nurse, but like for a straight week, he was like crying anytime he saw my. So he's mostly calmed down on that, thankfully, and he's drinking bottles like a champ, but that means I have to pump, which I hate. And he's a pretty happy, healthy boy in general. He is almost 10 months old. He'll be 10 months old Sunday, I think. And so he's pretty close to not needing bottles in general. So and I can't put him on formula. I really can't because of his allergies. So I've already discussed, let me preface this with a disclaimer. Please don't give me medical advice. I said that on the last episode or the last little video. And mostly y'all listened, which I was really, really thankful for. Please don't give me medical advice. And if you have stories about babies going on nursing strikes and never going back, please don't tell me because I can't handle it. Generally, I can hold space for a lot of things, but I can't for that right now because my emotional reserve is like really low when it comes to that. We've talked about maybe just giving him more food. Just, like if he won't go back to nursing, we're not going to find a formula, put him on it, risk it causing a big problem for a couple of months for him to just wean off of it. Because Nova was off of formula, I want to say 13 months, she was completely off of it. And at the end of 12 months, she was only getting like 1 or 2 bottles of formula a day. and she was eating so much food. So that's probably going to be our plan if he won't go back to nursing, and I'll just slowly taper off and try not to disturb my hormones and milk production any more than it already has been disturbed. So he is allergic to dairy and soy, but we were never quite sure if or how allergic he was to dairy, because when I cut out dairy, he was very young, and there was not much improvement in his life until we completely cut out soy. And so the whole time, Josiah and I have had this question, like, is he actually allergic to dairy? Because he got a hold of a bite of cheese one time and didn't seem to have a reaction, but it was just one little bite. And so we were like, is he allergic to dairy? But like, we're also afraid to give him dairy, because if he is allergic to dairy, it could be a huge thing, right? And not like, he wasn't having like an anaphylactic reaction, but his digestion is just horrible whenever he has anything with soy in it. And so the lactation consultant was like, let's do this. We're going to get him allergy tested for sure. But that appointment is not until August, because that's how long things take. I would like to know, I want to get him allergy tested because I would like to know if there's anything else that is causing problems in his body that are less than soy and dairy, but still significant enough to give him problems, because he's still, when he's on the baby Pepsid, when he's not on that, like, his hiccups are out of control, his reflux is horrible, it smells like stomach acid, and he's always struggled with like constipation and things like that. So it could just be reflux right? But it also could be, maybe there's something else that's bothering him and we just don't know what it is. So to do due diligence, I would like to get him allergy tested and just find out. Anyways, the lactation consultant was like, well, let's do this. Instead of feeding him dairy, how about you take a little bit of yogurt, just dip your finger in it and just rub it on his shoulder, like where he can't get to it, and just leave it and see what happens. And if he doesn't have any reaction for 24 hours, then take, just the same amount, just a tiny bit, and just put it right here and just monitor him for like 24 to 48 hours. So yesterday morning, I dipped my finger, I think it was cottage cheese because we didn't have any yogurt. Nova is obsessed with cottage cheese. And I just put it like right here. And then I went and got a shower. Fully like not even, I was just like, don't wash it off. Keep an eye on him. He'll be fine. I came out not even 15 minutes later. And I can't show you the picture because it's on my phone and I'm recording on my phone. He had a rash on his shoulder. And it wasn't just red, it was like bumps. And I was like, oh dang, like in less than 15 minutes. So we wiped it off, we cleaned it really well, put a little tea tree oil on it, and I monitored him for the rest of the day. He didn't seem to have any other issues, but literally this morning still, all of the redness is gone and the bumps are like very small, but I put it right here and that spot is clear, but he has bumps on his shoulder, like up to here and down his shoulder blade. So from something that's the size of my fingertip, it's probably this big of a reaction on his skin. Which, dang kid, like that's a big deal. So we're definitely, I had them put me on the cancellation list for his allergy appointment, because you have to have an initial appointment, then you have to go back for the testing, and the initial appointment isn't even until August, which is a whole, it's only a month from now. It's not that long. But I think what I'm going to do actually, because goat milk has come up several times in people's suggestions, and when we initially cut out dairy, we cut out every form of dairy. So I used to be able to eat goat's milk and sheep milk with no problem, products, because I am not supposed to have dairy either. But the proteins can be similar, so we cut out everything to see if it would help. I don't know if he's actually allergic to that or not. So I think what I'm going to do the next time we're at Trader Joe's is find a goat product like goat yogurt or goat milk and do the same kind of test and see what happens. Because if he can tolerate goat milk, that would be an option, like a nice high calorie, nutrient, fat option for milk in his bottles, which would make me feel better as well. Truly, just the thought of not having to put him on formula and go through this whole rigmarole to find formula for him for the next only 2 months that he would need it, and just give him more food instead, made me feel much less panicky. So that just helps me in general. Like, I do not want, nope, sorry, I'm just gonna cry. I don't want this to be the end of my nursing journey. But knowing that he will be okay if it is the end, and I don't have to test formulas on him to make sure he's okay and like just feed him food, that's such a relief to me. Like, that just lifted such a weight off my shoulders. It's still, I am still heartbroken, like truly heartbroken over him not nursing. This is not how I wanted it to end. And maybe it won't. Maybe it won't. He might still go back, you know, and we might have another few months. Oh, I'm getting hot. But maybe not. I don't know. Just knowing that I won't have to, if he doesn't come back, I don't have to keep pumping for another 2.5 to 3 months. Makes me feel better. And after the skin test I did on him, I have a whole freezer full, not a whole freezer full, but half a freezer full of pumped milk from before we figured out his allergies in the deep freeze in the garage. And I went and filled out the form to donate it because I was holding out hope that he'd be able to drink it at some point, but it's only good for so long, and it might as well go to help a baby in the NICU who can get it through a feeding tube or something, or just bottles of it. That will just help them, and it will help me to not have it in the house. It's just been a rough couple weeks, and you know, that's when you sign up to have kids, you sign up to have a rough time sometimes. You love them no matter what, right? But God, it's been really hard. I am tired of crying. I literally was crying every time he got a bottle, every time I pumped, every morning, every night, half the other times. Today so far, this counts as number 2. This is the second time I cried, which is better than it has been for the last 7 days. So, all that to say, that happy meal really came at the right time. And I really thank all of you for your lovely support on the last little video that I posted, because I really felt it. I felt the support, and I felt the prayers and the good energy and the love. And I'm glad I posted that video, even though I was really nervous about posting it. I typically have no problem sharing what's going on in my life. If it's medical, I generally wait till it's resolved. And of course, this is not resolved. The reason I typically wait is because, you know, everybody has opinions and things to say. And I emotionally wasn't sure if I could deal with it. But y'all were so kind and so supportive and so respectful of me not asking for no medical advice, please. And I just really, really appreciate that. Like, I haven't been able to form word responses to most of your comments, but I have read them multiple times. And I tried to respond to every single comment and put hearts because that's how I feel. I just feel like my heart is open and you filled it up. So I'm very appreciative of that and grateful, and just thank you for being here and supporting us in every way that you do. And gosh, I have to quit this because I'm just, his eyes are open. So I really do have to go, I think. I've got to figure out a way to get some work done. I'm so behind on literally everything in life. And because my emotional energy has been so used up in this situation, I am a pastor. And so a lot of people, you know, need me for various reasons or want me to hold space for them for various reasons. And I love that. That's actually what I do and what I'm good at, and typically what brings me a lot of joy. And it's not that it's not bringing me joy right now. It's just that my reserves are so low right now that I feel it kind of feels like I'm not enough for anyone. And I know that's not true, okay? Disclaimer, I know that that's objectively false. I know that I'm a good mom. I know that I am enough for my babies. I know that I am enough for my congregation and that what I can get done is enough. But it doesn't feel like it. It feels like everybody's getting the short end of the stick. And I don't love that. So, I'm trying to like ask for help and, you know, do all the things. But, you know, that's just life. Sometimes life sucks. I know it won't always be like that. And it will be okay. And perhaps this is me as a sad potato. Sad potato dad. I'm going to call it a day here because he's sitting up. He's not crying yet, but he will be. So thank you for watching. If my channel means anything to you, I would love it if you hit the like button, if you hit the subscribe button, just to stay connected. Keep the social in social media and comment down below with whatever you would like to share. And I will be back in 2 weeks with hopefully a little more progress on things. Hopefully a finished pair of socks or two and a finished crossbody / larger than crossbody bag. So I will see y'all next time. Until then, be kind to yourself, and I love you all a lot. And I am deeply appreciative of y'all being here. And happy July 4th if you're in the United States and you celebrate. Bye, friends.